Want a cookie? Oh, I know you just ate, so you're craving something a little sweet. Besides, one cookie isn't gonna kill you. How about half? Just a bite? Bite it. Bite it. Bite it.
Food noise isn't fair, but Mochi Health is. Your affordable GLP-1 source that puts you on a path to successful weight loss by quieting food noise.
Bite it.
Shh. Learn more at joinmochi.com. Mochi members have access to licensed physicians and nutritionists. Results may vary.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome, everybody, to the Hockey Think Tank podcast, brought to you by the Hockey Think Tank community, a place for all passionate players, parents, and coaches to go to get a little bit of education and a little bit of inspiration regarding the greatest game on the planet. What an episode we have for you guys here today. We are bringing on the head coach of the national champion Western Michigan Broncos, Pat Ferschweiler. Vex is going crazy on the other side. Former captain of the Broncos himself. So excited that his team won the national championship in his hometown of St. Louis. First, this was a great conversation. It is the second time that he has been on our podcast. The first time was one of the most downloaded we've done. This was years ago, and he backed it up with a stellar conversation after that. Really, really cool to get into their season, get into his coaching style, and just what makes him tick, what makes him such a great coach. So before we do get over to Fersch, first, have a couple updates with the Hockey Think Tank. First of all, we have on the bottom of the show notes, and you can go to our website too, but if you're a hockey director or you're a parent or a coach within a youth hockey organization, you can refer your youth hockey organization to us. If you think that what we talk about and things that we do can really help your youth club, you can refer us to your club leadership, and then we can get in touch with them and have a conversation on if we can partner and maybe potentially do some work together to help your club be a little bit better in the future. And so we've had a lot of people reach out to us through this referral program. And so go to thehockeythinktank.com or just go to the show notes on the bottom of this podcast page here, and you can fill that out, and we will get right to work. And that's been a lot of fun. On top of that, now let's bring in the talent of the podcast, the one Jeffrey Jehu Lavecchio. Vex, what's up, dude? We are Western Broncos today.
Oh, baby. And really cool. Just started training another Western Michigan Bronco commit yesterday, new client. So pretty excited about that. So a lot of Bronco stuff going on in this world. But, man, I'm just – this podcast was so fun. It was so cool for me. Such a source of pride. You know, I love Fersch. I met Coach when he was out on the recruiting circuit when I first retired, and I was coaching with AAA Blues with Mike Barra, and got to know him a little bit, and just really, really respected just how he handles himself, and he's a fun guy to be around. Like, it's just. When I saw he was taking over as head coach, I was really, really excited. And then to see where the program's gone since the day one of him taking over to obviously the culmination of this new rink and winning a national championship has just been electric. And I love it. And you guys are going to love this freaking episode.
Yeah, it was an awesome episode. I mean, it's really cool to get inside the head, but also look at the story and look at the journey of what they went through this year too. And, you know, they kind of ran the table this year. I mean, winning the NCHC, number one seed in the tournament, going to the Frozen Four, winning the Frozen Four. All they did is win, 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 no matter what. He's got money on his mind. It can never be enough. Sorry.
I was thinking win, win, win. Like, what's his name? Averman in Mighty Ducks when they're making fun of the Hawks when they're like, win, win, win. He's like, win, win, win. But yours was better.
Have you ever seen, I don't even know. So Jimmy Fallon used to do these lip sync battles. Yeah. And Emma Stone did one on that win, 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 no matter what
so
song.
Good.
One of the funniest things I've ever seen. Yeah, so good.
That was money.
Yeah. So yeah, this conversation, man, was awesome. And one thing I want to talk about in this intro before we do get over to Fersch here. Fersch, good Minnesota boy. Good Minnesota boy. And I had the opportunity to travel up to Minnesota and actually Vermont as well this weekend and got to speak at their annual affiliate leadership conference. So I was in front of a ton of the hockey leadership, hockey directors, presidents in both Minnesota and Vermont. And man, like I said this in a blog, I put a blog out last week and it was kind of like about the community model and how kind of special I think that it is. And I walked away from that weekend, Minnesota and Vermont, both kind of community model strong, just loving the game a little bit more. Just loving the game a little bit more. And the source of pride that they have for their state and what they do, the amount that they care. And that's not to say that other people don't care, but it's just different. When it's about community, it's just different. And remember when we had Bob Mancini on, we had him on our community call. And one of the things that he said really resonated with me. And that's how in so many places around North America, there's competition on the ice and then there's competition off the ice. In the best models around the world, it's competition on the ice and cooperation off the ice, collaboration off the ice. And that's really what you get in Minnesota. And it leads to a much healthier youth hockey culture there. It leads to a lot less pressure, a lot more player development. And Minnesota continues to lead the way in growth numbers. Minnesota continues to lead the way in creating and developing elite players that go on to play college hockey, go on to play in the NHL. And it's just, it was really cool to see how the sausage was made and be able to talk to so many different people in there. And I think the one thing, and I've said this in every kind of like keynote speech that I've given over the past couple of years. And like, I feel like my mission in life right now is to get people to understand the value of the front of the jersey again. And what I mean by that is youth sports has become so much about individualized stuff, and it's become so much about the individual journey to make it, whatever make it means, that we forget about one of the most important parts of player development is understanding how to be a part of something bigger than yourself. That's really at the end of the day, a huge part of an individual's growth and development, not just as an athlete, but as just a human being, understanding how to be a part of a team. And that's why I love college hockey so much. And I think this episode is going to resonate, especially with you being an alum and having Fersch on there, just winning a national championship. Like one of the things that was really cool about having the opportunity to coach at Cornell, we did a lot of stuff at the beginning of the year so our players understood the tradition of the program. Understood the tradition of the program to understand where we got to where we are today. And so we put a lot of time and effort into the players recognizing that we wouldn't have the expectation of winning a national championship every year if the players before us didn't win. And they didn't put their heart and soul into the program. We wouldn't have the opportunity to play in front of a sold out crowd every night if the players before us didn't win and didn't give their heart and soul to the program. And with that, like, that's where we're kind of losing that in youth sports today, in becoming so much about the individual making itness. And like, I think that it's funny. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day. You know, everybody thinks about like games, right? Like we want to play more games. We want to play more games. And don't get me wrong. Like it's great to play games. And games are fun for the kids, but like, it's almost like a quantity over quality, or sorry, the other way around, quality over quantity question. Like, I think you get better from playing meaningful games. And that's what you get in Minnesota at the high school circuit is like every game matters. Every game there's a crowd. Every game you're going to hear about it at school the next day. And when that kind of like pressure is on you, not from like an individual making it kind of pressure, which is what most kids feel in youth hockey today, but that pressure to like, you know, make your town proud, make your school proud. You're in it with the boys and together. That I think develops great players at the end of the day. And so it was just really, really cool to be out there. And then on the other side of it in Vermont too, like this is just a completely different, you know, atmosphere in terms of a lot less players. You know, hockey's not the number one sport. Like it's just not the same, but seeing how the leadership in that area, how much they care about their communities and how much they want it to grow. Like, it just gives an extra kind of like sense of pride in what you do when you're doing something that's bigger than yourself. And it was just like a really, really cool weekend. And we can get into the numbers even about Minnesota and how much they're killing it in player development of developing elite athletes too. But it was just really, really cool.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. I saw that you were speaking on your Instagram story. I saw you doing that, and so cool, and so happy for you, and so happy that you're spreading also the gospel, shall we say, of Minnesota hockey. It's just so crazy to me how many higher level hockey guys that I talk to that are like, why aren't we all just doing what Minnesota's doing? And it seems like the only ones that aren't are the ones that are making a crazy, stupid amount of money off of all the kids and the parents. And it's just like, sometimes you got to do what's better for the game as entirely, like the whole game, everyone in it.
Yeah.
We got to get back to that stuff.
And I think it's important to talk about reality and the fact that like you can't carbon copy Minnesota and put it in other places.
Of course.
Like there's one of the biggest things why Minnesota can do that is the amount of publicly owned rinks that they have in the state, which is not like that in pretty much everywhere else. But in each region, and again, every region is going to be different. How can you move a little bit closer towards that? Right. How can you develop a little bit of a sense of community pride within, the greater kind of goodness of the area or the region that you're in? And it would look different everywhere, right? It would look different in Boston than it would in Detroit, Chicago, than it would in St. Louis in different respects. But you can move closer towards that.
Yeah, I think almost everywhere that's a bigger city, at least,
could
do like a before and after, like whether that's high school to start the year and finish the year and AAA is the meat of the season, or if it's AAA and Central States are all up until January 31st or January, and then it's high school after. Like, there's some way that we could accommodate it where it makes sense, and kids aren't playing on 3 different teams, and the high school games don't mean anything because AAA players aren't showing up until playoffs, which is like what happens here a lot. And it's just like it's too many people that are adults that have egos that can't just sit down at a table and go, what's going to be best for all the kids involved? And like, let's work top down here and figure that out and go from there. And let's try something new. I don't understand why it's so freaking hard.
So the reason why, like, we talk about this and the reason why, like, I think it's really good to give this perspective is because at the end of the day too, we want to have a really good hockey culture, right? We want kids to want to choose to play hockey. We want to make it more accessible, more affordable to more people. The more athletes we have choosing hockey, the more elite hockey players we're going to have. And with the community model, you're going to have that because there's not the narrowing of the talent pyramid at such a young age where people are like, nah, I'm done. Or it's not so expensive, all the way through where people are going to choose other sports because of that. But also, I think about this too, and I think this is really interesting perspective. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I think of this from like, you and I both had really lofty dreams of playing in the NHL. How can we put kids in a better position to be able to reach those dreams at the end of the day? And, you can make an argument on the AAA model. You can make an argument versus the community model, whatever it may be. But here's the facts. Here's the facts. Here's the data. Okay. So NCAA Division I men's hockey players in 2025, 247 from Minnesota. The next closest is Massachusetts at 117.
Wow.
The next closest is New York at 113, and the next closest is Michigan at 111.
Wow.
That's pretty significant. There's more kids playing college hockey at the Division I level in the men's from Minnesota than the next 2 combined, Massachusetts and New York. That's a stat. Okay, now let's go to the women's side. Minnesota, 204 Division I women's hockey players at the Division I level. The next closest is Massachusetts at 114. That's 90 away. And then New York at 48, right? So again, Minnesota is more than the next 2 highest at the end of the day. NHL players in 2025, Minnesota has 61. The next closest is 40, which is Michigan. Then Massachusetts at 36, New York at 29. By the way, I didn't say these stats, but the Division I men's players that played Division I hockey, 90% of them played high school hockey with 68 high schools represented. 68 high schools. So it's all over the state, all different populations, AA, different sizes, all that kind of stuff, right? Division I women's, 99% played high school hockey. Wow. Of 61 high schools. At the NHL level, 89% of the players who played in the NHL last year for Minnesota played high school hockey, and 31 different high schools represented. PWHL, Minnesota has the most at 18, and then it's New York, Michigan, and so like 100% played high school hockey with 15 schools represented. Those are what we would call statistically significant statistics. Dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge. But like at the end of the day, so even think about this from I want to follow my dream standpoint. Why is Minnesota creating so many more elite hockey players than everywhere else? And it's not even close. It's not even close. And there are a lot of different ways we can skin that cat. But I think the biggest thing is Minnesota allows for you to play for something bigger than yourself. So, right, your town, your community, your high school, when you get up to that. And also it leaves, I think, a really, really big opportunity for late bloomers as well. A really big opportunity for late bloomers because the talent pyramid doesn't get narrowed at such a young age, right? Chicago, we have 6-8 UAAA teams. Talent pyramid real quick. So yeah, man, like at the end, what are your thoughts on those stats, and what are your thoughts on just the dreams part of it?
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense to me. And I was somebody who left home before I was 16, before I could even drive. And I look back and I'm like, okay, what were the positives? What were the negatives? There were a ton of positives. Like, it forced me to grow up, sooner. It forced me to learn responsibility. It forced me to learn like being responsible with like money. Like, there's a lot of things that were really, really good. But at the same time, like, now I'm a parent and I'm like, oh man, I'd have to lose my kid 2 years sooner than like anyone else is. Like, that would be so hard. And like, what did I lose out from learning from my parents? Because once you leave, especially like for hockey, and you play juniors and you go right to college, and then, I went right into pro after that. Like, how much did I miss like time with my parents, and how much did I miss like life lessons and things like that? And if Minnesota is doing it differently and they're getting better results, that's where I'm like, okay, maybe we should look into this, and how can we, apply and adapt to try and not everybody's going to be able to do the same thing like Toph said, but like, what are some principles that are fundamentally working for them, and how can we import those to our state and start, figuring things out to try and help our players too. Because that's the thing that I have the biggest problem with is like coaches who are, especially in regions where there's multiple AAA teams, and I'm talking about at higher levels. I don't know if it happens as much at lower levels, but who are just like out for their own selves and their own winning percentage and things like that. And it's just like, just literally, I'm not saying you shouldn't want to win. You want to win every game. But like, just, they don't care about the kids' overall development. They're only looking at like, how many games are we going to win? And we want to beat the team across the state, the city and all these things. And it's like, no, dude, this should be all about the kids and their development. And it just grosses me out.
Yeah.
And I hate to be negative. But
so
that's why we're talking about it.
I'm going to take that, flip it, and reverse it, Missy Elliott style. But one of the things that I talked about in my speech up there, and when I gave my keynote address, it was a lot of like what you got. Hey, like, you guys are doing a great job, and this is why. And this is what I'm seeing from some other parts around North America that are really kind of toxic right now at the end of the day. And I think one of the things, and I'll preface this, like, I agree with you to a certain extent, and I think you will agree with what I'm about to say, but like, there are a lot of people in the club hockey world, AAA hockey world, that are doing a great job.
Oh yeah.
They're phenomenal.
Of course.
Right. So let's not paint everybody with the same brush. And I know that's not what you were trying to do.
Yeah, no.
There are some of those people out there that, like you talked about, that need to retire from the game.
Yeah. There's tons of good people.
But one of the reasons why Minnesota is as good as it is because if you want player development, what's the most important thing? It's the coach. If you want to develop the best players, you need the best coaches to be able to develop them. And I would argue that Minnesota as a whole on the macro level has the best coaches. And part of the reason why, do you remember during COVID when all the USA Hockey ADM guys reached out to us and they wanted to have a Zoom? Hey, what's going on? Right? Like, hey, we want to see what's going on in your neck of the woods. And they were just doing a fact-finding mission, talking to a bunch of people around the country. And one of the things that they talked about after listening to me talk about as a hockey director, how stressed I was about everything that was going on for the first time, it was my first time ever as a hockey director, is they were like, Toph and Vex, like, you guys have no idea how many awesome hockey people get into youth hockey for like 1 year at the AAA level. And then they're like, no, this ain't for me. Yeah. I don't want to do it. It's too much stress, too much stress, too much pressure. The parents are all over me about their kid, all that kind of stuff, with just the environment that can be created a lot of times in the professional hockey model, let's call it. Mm-hmm. And what I would argue is Minnesota has unbelievable players because they get unbelievable coaching because of the experience that they had growing up in Minnesota hockey of playing for something bigger than themselves. And then they get older, they play college hockey, maybe they play pro hockey, and then they settle down and they want to go back to their hometown and they want to get involved in their youth hockey organization. And because the environment that's been created in Minnesota of community, of it being a lot slower, we're not going to narrow the talent pyramid at such a young age. Like, it's such a better culture to go into. And so you have more coaches getting into that from the higher levels of hockey to, that are giving back to the communities that they grew up in. And with that, it's completely opposite, right? Like the club level, people are like, I don't want to be a part of this. It's too much. It's too much travel. It's too pressurized. Like, this is not what I signed up for, as opposed to Minnesota, which is the complete opposite. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%.
It's all about the coaching at the end of the day. The model matters, but I would argue that you recruit better coaches to the community model than you do to the club model. Because again, like I said, a lot of guys, myself included, I dipped my toe in a couple different times and I was like, nah, I'm good. It's not for me. So does that make sense?
No, dude, totally. It's a great hypothesis, if you will. Now we need to get some controlled variables and some uncontrolled variables and then test it out. But I guess you just did with your numbers there of the statistics. Like, it obviously works. And we got on this topic by saying that Fersch is from Minnesota. So thanks, Fersch.
So let's get to Fersch. Yeah.
Everybody's like, where's Fersch?
Yes. Let's get over to Fersch. This was an awesome conversation, man. Really awesome conversation. So before we do go over to Fersch, though, we do have some people to thank. First, want to thank our title sponsor, icehockeysystems.com, the best website out there for all of your coaching education needs. They got thousands of drills for you, practice plans, whiteboard explanations from high-level hockey people, the ability to go in and draw your drills up digitally, print them out, put them up on the glass before practice, send them out to your team via email before practice, any way you want to go. It's an unbelievable value add. We have teamed up with them to do an associations platform where you can get this for every single coach within your organization. Go to icehockeysystems.com today and check that out. Vex?
Want to say thank you to Train Heroic. You guys know Train Heroic is the amazing app that allows me to work with so many players across the world. Working with the NCAA Division I team this summer and all next year. I had 2 NCAA Division III teams last year, NCAA D1 team 2 years ago, multiple USHL, NAHL, EHL, NA3. I got them all. All right, midget teams and kids working out at home in season. I can help your players for a hilariously low price. The whole point of me using Train Heroic is try to help as many players as I can for as cost-effective as an option as I could possibly come up with. So I cannot thank Train Heroic enough for that. And if you're a team, organization, or individual and have questions about training with me online, please reach out. I can help. Ask anybody.
There you go. Also want to thank Helios Hockey. Go to helioshockey.com today. It is a sensor that you put into your shoulder pad that gives you real-time data, real-time feedback on your play, specifically a hustle score, which the kids absolutely love, and they can compare themselves to other people all over the world. But also the game changer is your skating stride, skating technique. It gives you some really, really tangible feedback on those. And if you want to play high level hockey today, you got to be able to skate. Got to be able to skate, one of the most important skills in the entire world. And so go to helioshockey.com today and use the coupon code ThinkTank, one word, for 20% off your pro annual or your pro 24-month subscription. The absolute game changer of Helios Hockey is it pairs up with whatever video you're using, your iPad, your iPhone, your camera, Live Barn it even hooks up to, and you can get real-time data. Like right after the game, you get your shifts cut up for you. Incredible, game changer. I would get it just for that. And then on top of that, you get awesome stuff for your skating and your hustle score as well. So go to helioshockey.com today. Also want to thank Crossbar. Crossbar is an incredible software solution that can help you to really streamline the operations of your hockey club. I know a ton of different hockey directors that have made the switch from Sports Engine to Crossbar, and every single one of them have been extremely, extremely, extremely happy in doing so. So what does it have? The website looks really clean, really phenomenal. Registration for everything from your entire season to little things like clinics and drop-ins. There's a scheduler, a communication app that's 5 stars to communicate with the families in your club, financial, volunteer, and facility management and reporting. It just makes life easier. It just really makes life easier at the end of the day for anybody running a youth hockey club. So go to crossbar.org today and check that out. Also, thank you to all of our amazing listeners. We love you guys. Absolutely love you guys. The only thing that we ask for in return is if you can interact with our podcast in whatever way possible by shooting us a rating or a review wherever you get your podcast, downloading us, following our show, subscribing, liking and commenting on our stuff on social media. We want to get better too. So anytime you're able to interact with us through that stuff and give us some tips and some pointers on things that we're doing well or things that you think we need to do to change, we would absolutely love that. So we love you guys. Why we continue to do this and bring on awesome guests like we will today. So without further ado, here we go with the national champion head coach of the Western Michigan Broncos, Pat Ferschweiler.
Go Broncos.
We are so excited to have on this episode of the podcast from Kalamazoo, Michigan. We got national championship head coach of the Western Michigan Broncos, Pat Ferschweiler. Fersch, how we doing, man? You just cloud nine. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, that's got a nice little ring to it, that national champions thing. Yeah, no, I'm so happy and proud. One, for the players, and two, for Western Michigan itself, and three, the city of Kalamazoo. The support we got during that run and the Frozen Four, and really all year long, and since I've been back here, is incredible. This community believes in the Broncos.
Unreal. Vex, and as a faithful alum, what are your thoughts, brother?
I've never been so happy, and I actually ran into another retired pro Bronco alum, Jamal Mayers, this morning at the rink. So got to talk to him, told him I was having Fersch on, and just so cool to reminisce and talk about, just how amazing it is, where Western is. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Coach, I'm pretty sure you said this to me at the dinner before your game on Thursday night. You guys had no NLI money this year. Was that true?
No NIL money, no Alston money. We had 18 scholarships. That's all. Our guys are here because they want to be here. They believe in our process, and they believe that we can make them pros in the future. And part of that is also making them great people. So I think we've done it the right way here at Western.
How freaking cool. Because I just told some guys who were coming into the gym today, and they were telling me that some kids transferring from Cornell to Michigan, and that he was getting paid like 50 G's to do it, or 200 G's, or some crazy amount of money. And then we started talking, and I was like, yeah, and Western just won the Natty Championship with $0. So we'd love to hear that. Let's go.
I will say, and I said it then too, I said this will probably be the last time I can say it.
100%.
I do think we'll be the last major sport to win a national championship with no NIL money. And we'll have some next year. We don't have a huge pool, but we can at least make our players' lives more comfortable here in college. And you guys know what $500 a month would do in college. You'd feel like you're a rich man, right? We're not scratching $100,000 checks, but we are taking care of our players a little bit here and as best we can, for sure.
So cool.
Well, let's get into that a little bit. Actually, you know what? Before we do get into that, I do have to ask, because the talent of the podcast, my tatted cousin over there on the other side of the screen,
Male model.
you know, I know, you know, from having coached in college hockey and played college hockey, how important the alumni are to a program. And when you can have that connection between the program as it is to the alumni, because one of the things that Shafe was really big on, who coached at Western and probably got some of this from Wilkie, like we talked a lot as a group about the past and the tradition. And you obviously want to forge your own path. Every team is going to be different. But like one of the biggest things that we always talked about was like at Cornell, we wouldn't have the expectations of winning a championship. You know, we wouldn't have the sold out crowds, which are things that Western has as well, without the guys that the blood, sweat, and tears beforehand. Right. And so Vex, I know you went in and you got the chance to speak to the group, you know, before the Frozen Four there in St. Louis and stuff. But like, Vex, what was it like for you as an alum, you know, going through and having learned so many things hockey wise, non-hockey wise, that made you who you are today from your Western Michigan experience? How cool is that for you to be able to go in and speak to the group? And then after you talk first, I'd love to hear kind of how you empower the alumni to be a part of the program as well, because I know that's a really big deal. So Vex, why don't you go first?
Yeah, man. Well, last year I spoke to the group before the games, before practice. This year I just came in and threw out Lactigo to all the boys. Wound up just letting them have their dinner and just ripping. I just came in and just threw Lactigo to all the guys because one of the boys texted me and said, "Hey, Vex, we're out of Lactigo. Can you bring any?" So I had to give my personal stash, but I'm glad that it helped them achieve the main goal. But man, like for me, it's just. You know, I've told so many people, we had so many alumni come into St. Louis for those couple of days there, and I got to see so many guys. And Western was a completely different organization and team in, you know, the early 2000s and mid 2000s, and just to see just where it's gone every couple of years and decade, you know, now it's 20 years. Oh my God. But to see where it's at and how the guys are treated and just like, I mean, it's there's nothing cooler. You know, when I went to Western, I went there because it was a lower end school, but with unbelievable pride in the program, which I absolutely loved. But it was lower end just because, you know, that they weren't winning games and, you know, kind of negative feedback loop. They were always competitive, but it wasn't like a winning program. So now to see it be an actual winning program over the last 10, 15 years, there has been nothing cooler. And then to hear about all the stuff we have going on with the new rink and what these players are going to have, because I was one of the last guys to be in the old locker room before that was remodeled and redone. And so I got to experience that my freshman year. And then they raised $2.5 million or something like that, redid the whole locker room, the training area, everything. And it was unbelievable, and it gave us so much pride, and we had such a good year coming off of that and feeling like, hey, like this is our space, like we own this. And now to see where it's going with the new rink, like for me, it's just, you know, when you don't get to go to Michigan or North Dakota back when it was, you know, when we were younger and see what they have and everybody sees it on YouTube, and now to see Western Michigan, what they're doing without that, and then what they're going to do with that, with the new rink. Like I literally cannot contain myself. I'm about to flip this desk over.
I like, well, first you're an alum, you know, and you played for the program and now you're dealing. When I say deal with the alumni, I don't mean like in a bad way. Like you're interacting with the alumni all the time, guys you played with, guys you didn't, all that kind of stuff. Like how important has it been to have the support of the alumni? Because there's so many people that are so passionate about Western that have gone through there. What's that been like? And especially now being able to say, hey boys, like we're all national champions. Like how cool has that been?
I think the single most special thing of being a college athlete is you leave, but the college it's always here to come back to, and you're always a part of something. And to me, that's, as an alum and former captain myself, and the pride I had in the program and the belief I had here, and you know, is through the roof. And you know, Vex knows, while the teams weren't always great when he was here, people love being Broncos, and they loved Western Michigan University. It's a world-class place to be. And I think for too long, you know, we were afraid to say we're trying to be great, just in case we weren't. It's a scary thing to say. I've been saying it now since I've been back from the NHL. Like, Western Michigan is here to be great. And there'll be years we're not going to be great, and I know that. That's not a failure, right? But are we delivering everything we can to every player? Are we giving him the best food? Are we giving him the best training? Are we giving him the best advice? Are we giving him the best coaching? Whatever he can do to succeed in hockey, in life, and in school, that's our job to give these kids every resource they have to be successful in every single way. Comprehensive excellence. That's what we're trying to do here at Western every day.
Ooh, you hear that, Toph? Comprehensive excellence.
I did
Write that down.
Uh-oh.
I tried to speak to the Cornell guy there a little bit.
I don't read.
You didn't get into the agricultural school, did you?
Safety school. We were a safety school. No, I really do like that comprehensive excellence. And again, that's like the goal of every coach, but particularly college coaches is we're not just making better players, we're making better people. And to be able to provide the resources and the time and the effort to be able to do that with the players is everything. And Vex, it's really cool to see you and how excited you have been about this whole run here. Like, and I even know too, because Cornell was a goal away from getting to the Frozen Four. And one of the coolest parts about our schools, getting to where they got to is the connection that everybody kind of again creates because of it. Everybody's got kids now and everybody's got so many different things going on. And like, it's, but during this time of year, when our teams are going on runs, the text chains keep going. And people start talking and everybody keeps catching up. And I think that honestly has been one of the coolest things for me about Cornell going on the run that it went on. And for you guys is just like the ability again to connect with my former teammates and through the run, and we didn't obviously win it all, but like you guys did, but we got close and the connections were awesome because of that. Did you notice that as an alum, just like as Western was going on its run, like everybody's starting to talk a little bit more, like everybody's like, hey, are you going to St. Louis? Hey, are you going to St. Louis? Hey, are you going to St. Louis? Like we had a caravan of like 25 guys going to St. Louis if Cornell made the Frozen Four, right? From, Saskatchewan to BC to Alberta to Florida, like guys were going. So did you kind of get that sense there, Vex, too?
Yeah, dude, of course. My phone was blowing up left and right, and I'll never forget this because, guys bought tickets. So they're kind of sitting all over the place. We'd meet with each other in between periods before the game. And when the boys won the game, the first game, I was sitting up in a suite. Not a big deal, part of my life. And I come down from, way up in the air with the cool people, and I come down and I see all my old teammates and the look on their faces, and one of them runs up and he's screaming and he's like, they did it. And I will never forget that picture as long as I live, because the last time that I watched a Frozen Four was when I was playing college hockey, and it was in St. Louis. And I was going to watch my roommate from college, Jeff Lerg, and he was winning, and I was so excited for him. And same arena, different feel. It's for the old school. Like, man, it's a feeling that I'm never, ever, ever gonna forget. And I can't wait for the golf outing.
It was. What a special thing to have that many people, not just from my era, but all the eras of Bronco hockey back, and guys from the first year of the program started were back. They were back all week. And, I joked with some of the guys that just came in for Saturday, I hope your ankles got taped up before you got here, for this bandwagon's moving pretty fast. But, but in reality, I was thankful for it's hard for a lot of people. It's a big journey and a great expense. So for them to come down was amazing. And after that game, you're looking out at the ice the whole game. And then after the game, you get to get on the ice, and I get to hug my daughter and my wife. But then for the first time, I get to look up instead of out, and boom, Broncos everywhere. I can see the guys I'm playing with are bawling. They're grown men. Pretty cool experience, right? And one of the cool things to add on to that from our program and the support we have at Western from all the other sports the coaches packed their athletes up into 15 passenger vans and drove them to St. Louis for the championship game.
Wow.
So, wicked.
Wow. So
moment's notice.
And didn't the athletic director or somebody pay for people to come? Like, what was that story?
Yeah, our athletic director is an absolute rock star, Dan Bartholomew. We're going to enjoy him while I have him, because Big Ten or SEC is going to come calling at some point. But he paid for every student that could get to the game. and he paid for those athletes to come down as well. So as you guys well know, those are not cheap tickets.
Out of his own pocket?
Out of he raised it.
Legend.
He had to go raise it. It's not, that's $40,000-$60,000 laying around that you got to go raise. And they're $200 tickets, I'm not sure if the students got the $200 ones or what. But
mine was $350. So what's up?
Yeah. Well, of course we upcharge you, but
they charge me double.
We counted part of that as a donation. You didn't.
I just have a visual of Vex when he was talking about, all the plebes are down in like the regular seats.
Yeah.
And then here I come down the golden escalator, freaking, oh, hey, old teammates, like, good to see you, freaking guy.
I saw you guys down there. Didn't bother calling you or inviting you.
Yeah, how was the air down there? Pretty tough, eh?
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
The secret is out. With millions of younger-looking customers across the country, Plexiderm is one of the most highly sought-after products on the market. It visibly shrinks under-eye bags and smooths out crow's feet in minutes, and the effects last up to 10 hours. Influencers love it, magazines feature it, and people just can't get enough of it. As a matter of fact, Elle Magazine gave it an Editor's Choice Award as Best Instant Wrinkle Filler for 2025. In as little as 10 minutes, Plexiderm reduces the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, and those dreaded under-eye bags. So yes, you can look years younger in minutes, and the effects last for hours. No surgery, no gimmicks, just results. The best news, you can try Plexiderm for only $14.95. Plus, get free shipping. Don't wait. Order Plexiderm today. Visit plexiderm.com/special. That's plexiderm.com/special. Paid for by Sheer Science.
Hey, Fersch, I want to get into a little bit of hockey talk. And,
Sure.
and one of the things I really wanted to ask you, having coached at 3 different places, one of the things that I think, and if you talk to most college coaches, they'd probably agree, you can't win a championship unless you have depth. Depth is one of the most important things that you need on a roster. You need all 4 lines to be able to chip in, all 6D, and then even the players who aren't playing, when they get hurt or not playing, they need to come in and fill a role and all that kind of thing. And I think that just from reading the articles and watching the games and stuff like that, that's something that you guys really prided yourselves on. And you got great coaches that are great recruiters with you, but like how much does depth play a role in your guys' success this year? And how do you, recruiting is a big part of that, but like also how do you create depth where it's kind of a next person up mentality, things like that?
Well, I'll say my good buddy, Mark Denny, he used to coach a long time at Merrimack, used to say, you can't win the Derby on a donkey, right?
Yeah.
So you need the horses to be able to compete. But having said that, Western we're not full of first and second rounders. We're full of a lot of very good hockey players that have a bunch of inner drive, that want to get better every day and come to work. And that's what our program is built on. And in a great way, we've got a team full of them. Now, the other side of depth comes from belief from the coaches. Now that belief is earned, right? A lot of teams aren't playing their 4th line. We believe in our 4th line at all times. And if you saw them in the national championship game, Ty Henricks gets a goal. Wyatt Shingothi have been up and down from that line. He gets a goal and an assist. Cam Knuble hits the post, could have easily had a goal. And they were out there. Ty Henricks scores. Cam Knuble hits the post. That was against the Yzerman line, the other team's top line. Full trust in your players. So we don't match lines. I'm certainly able as a coach to match lines, but I trust our players. You need to be able to play out there against every person. So we're going to say next person up. We're going to put them over the boards and we're going to go. Now, there's certainly times during the game when I make changes to the lineup or do other things. But for the most part, believe in your players, trust them. If they believe in themselves and each other, they'll get the job done.
So where does that come from, Fersch? Because I love that. And Vex and I talk a lot about how somebody's belief in you can change your effing life. Like it legitimately can change your life. And especially in today's day and age of the way that youth hockey is and the way that college hockey is with the transfer portal and all these kinds of things, like that is something. And I remember reading Theo Epstein's book back when he built the Cubs, up to World Series champion. He talked about a change of scenery. There's a lot of guys in the league that have the ability, but they weren't believed in whatever situation they were in. And then they get into our system and then all of a sudden just a little bit of belief and then all their talents just flow out of them. So like, first of all, like where does that come from for you in terms of the importance that that your belief in them is important? And then is that something that the players earned as well? Like is it a two-way street where they're showing certain qualities, they're showing certain things with their work ethic or whatever it is that helps you to believe in them? Kind of two-parter there.
Certainly a combination of all those things, but I start the year and I start my coaching philosophy every day of I have an inherent belief that players want to be great. And that's what I start with, right? And now my job, my coaching staff's job is to give them a path to success. Whatever greatness looks like for them, it looks different, right? So can we provide that path for them? Now you talk about, you hear this word confidence being thrown around. There's one way to get confidence, put in the work. The only way to really believe in yourself and have confidence is knowing you put in the work. So now they put in the work to believe in themselves. Now what that does is it earns trust from their teammates and earns trust from the coaches to saying they've earned the ability to play. Now, the more they repeat their performance, the more trust they get, the more trust they've earned from me, from themselves, or more trust they have in themselves, more trust they've earned from me and their teammates, right? And so I think all those things go into it. But the secret sauce of all success before anything else is get to work. Because that's how you have self-confidence. That's how you believe in yourself. It all starts from there. And certainly that is, we're talked about on a daily basis here.
Daily basis. Guys, players, I hope you're listening to this. Parents, I know you're in the car with your kids. You're always telling us you are. He said players have to earn it. Players have to do the work. If they earn it, they keep getting more rope. This is something that a lot of young players at a certain point might struggle with, myself included. You go from being, the best guy on one team, you go up a level, you might not be the best guy anymore. That doesn't mean you can't get back to being the best guy, but you have to put in the work. You have to earn it. Coaches, especially as you go up in levels, are not going to give you the keys. They're going to want you to earn it. You got to earn their respect, earn the power play time, earn the 6-on-5. And the more you do that and the more you consistently show up, you will find yourself earning more opportunities to play more in the situations that you want to be in. But don't ever just expect it's going to come to you. I don't care if you scored 100 goals in 10 games last year. That doesn't mean at the next level you are going to do that. You have to work for it.
It's funny you say that. My exit meeting with every single player this year was next year our first game's against Ferris State. That game doesn't care if we're national champions. It doesn't know that we're supposed to win. Unless we go out there and earn it, we won't. Start with that mentality all summer long. Dig in, be better next year than you were this year, because we're going to have to go prove it once again every time. The game doesn't know. The game doesn't care. You've got to go earn it.
That's awesome. And I think that really kind of relates to the year that you guys had this year, because you talk about all the success you had. You won pretty much everything. You talk about winning the NCHC, one of the toughest leagues in college hockey, if not the toughest league. Then you go through the regional, and then you get to the Frozen Four, a great regular season. Like, what was that like for you as a coach, in having success? Because like a lot of times when you have some success, complacency comes right after that. And that's why in a college season and a pro season, when you get to the higher levels, there's so many ups and downs, and consistency is the hardest thing for any of us to achieve, both individually and as a team, because it takes every day and it takes being level. So like, how did you feel like you were able to achieve that consistency as a program this year? You know, maybe from a coaching staff and your mentality, but also from the players and the group of guys that you had in your locker room too.
Well, I think that starts with daily expectations of performance. And so early in the year, I coached the guys harder, and we set the individual standard, what it should look like, your expectation of yourself. And then when everyone understands how they're supposed to perform, then I there's a point in time that team tells me to turn it over to the leadership core. And now the expectation comes from your peers, not me. And that's when you're start to get in a good spot, right? When your teammate, when your line mate looks over and goes, no, man, no more missed passes for the rest of the practice. Dig in, be better. And when it comes from them rather than me, that's way more powerful. I shouldn't have to put my thumb on you. And I should never have to coach effort. I should have to coach execution, right? Or I've recruited the wrong player. Now, I'm still the bumpers in their bowling alley. They need to be bumped back in every now and then. There's no doubt about that. But that's certainly where it starts to me. And then you talked about after winning, some complacency comes in. I actually think it's a different, for me, it's not complacency. It's the ability to remake the emotional investment to then win again the next week. It's very hard. And so I go back to, we won the 2012 CCHA championship. We're on an emotional high. We had a really good team that year. That's on Saturday. You got to travel home. You got the selection show. All of a sudden Thursday you're in Minnesota playing North Dakota, and we weren't able to make the emotional investment back into that game of what it took to win. Did we care about it? Yes. Did we want to win? Yes. But sports are a contest. And if you're not emotionally all in every day, every game, every play, you can't succeed at the highest level. So I thought the masterful job this team did was, one, apply that standard to themselves every day. So they didn't have to turn it on in the off season. That switch is always on full power, right? And every practice, everything matters all year long. Go ahead, Vex.
That's unreal. I think, sorry, Vex, I just want to dig in on something real quick here. So first of all, for all the players out there, I totally agree with what Fersch is saying. Like when the room is policed by the players, like I know the teams that I've coached that have won league championships, maybe not national championships like you guys, but like it was, the coaching didn't come from us. Like it was easy to coach. But I want to ask you and dig in a little bit more on the emotional investment that you just talked about. Hockey is a very emotional sport. It's very taxing. College hockey is very taxing physically, mentally, emotionally. These student athletes are pulled in so many different directions with academics and friends and potentially a girlfriend and all of these different kind of things. So emotionally, it's very easy to be spent as a student athlete playing college hockey. What were some things that you guys did as a program, as a group, to kind of bring that back and give these guys some of the emotional stamina to be able to keep going, you know, when you are on a high, to even come back emotionally? I love that. Like, I never heard that before, the emotional investment to get back there. Like, I think that's really, really profound, and wanted to ask you to dig in a little bit on that.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting thing. And what we ask of our players every day, one, they're college students. They should enjoy the experience of college. So it's not just all hockey here. Yes, they're supposed to have a girlfriend if they want one. Yes, they're supposed to enjoy college life. Whatever that looks like outside of the rink, have it look like outside of the rink. As long as your grades are good, we're in a great spot. But here's what I ask of all our players every single day. When you're involved in any hockey activity, be 100% here, present today, every day. So when you're at the rink, there is nothing else. We're not there. There's no school. There's no girlfriends. There's nothing else. There's teammates and there's hockey. Invest. Be all in every single day, every time. That way, once you're together, boom, it clicks that emotional switch. Now we're here. This is hockey time. I'm investing with this group of guys. I can look around the locker room. I can love every one of them and know that they're all in as well. And then when you have that trust of everyone is all in, we had a bunch of players that didn't play a hockey game this year. They were part of our success. We had guys that played 3 games, part of our success. You know why? Because they practice great every day. Huge piece of it. Now, when you're supposed to change the lineup, we won almost every game. We lost 4 games in regulation, and no one got hurt. Now, that contributed to our success, no doubt. Could those guys have been frustrated? Could they have eased off? They could have. They didn't. Really good hockey players that didn't get to play, that stayed emotionally invested every day, all day, every practice. Super impressive for the entire group to be that way at all times.
Man,
So cool.
There's 2 things I want to dig in there, but I got to dig into that last part because this is something that I think happens to a lot of teams, a lot of businesses, a lot of organizations. It doesn't matter what it is. Sometimes when your team, organization, business starts having success and you're not one of the people who's a main driver, a la in this instance, if you're a guy who's a healthy scratch, right? How do you keep them engaged? How do you keep them having that positive attitude around their guys? Because we've all played the game a long time. We've all been around teams when you're winning and you got that guy in the corner who's off sulking, or the guy who usually scores a lot of goals. He didn't score that game. The team won and he's all, visibly pissed off and pouting because he didn't get his cookies. So obviously to do what you guys did and not be changing a ton of things in the lineup because you're winning and you're rolling and all that stuff. Like, how do you keep guys like that engaged? How did you keep them bought in?
One, you care about them as people, and you go and engage them every day. He's not, easy to talk to. Alex Bump is our best player, but these guys are great kids, giving everything they have every single day as well. That deserves to be respected, just like your best player. Their effort needs to be rewarded. When they make a great play in practice, let them know, right? We teach them the positive at almost all times. So effort, winning plays get rewarded in practice verbally in front of the group. They know they're having a good day. Their teammates compliment them as well. And I think we're all part of those successes. And anytime you can find the little wins and find the little successes, that emotionally just fills you. And now they leave feeling great about themselves at practice, and whether they get the time in the game or not. And certainly they wanted the time, but even some of those guys are in the transfer portal right now, but we've helped them find other places. Right. I hear these stories of college coaches, and this is off the subject, but a kid enters the transfer portal and then the next day his gear's waiting outside the locker room in a trash bag, and he's banned from the locker room and banned from the weight. What are we doing? These kids have given you everything. They've invested in your program. You've cared about as young men. They're great people. The fact that maybe they're not quite good enough to crack your lineup, and now we're going to treat them poorly. I tell them our transfers, like, they come in, hey, coach, what's my situation look like? Maybe the same next year. Maybe you get in the lineup. Well, I'm thinking about transfer. Great. Give me a list of 5 schools that you'd like to go to. Right? I'll call them. I said, don't make it the NCHC, but we'll call and we'll place every player that has played here at a different place with a different opportunity. They're great kids. I care about those people, and they can be successful a lot of places. And frankly, they could have been successful Broncos, maybe in different circumstances. So why would you ever treat a young man who's given you everything that way? They'll always be Broncos for life. They're invited back here, full access to everything we do every summer, everything we do at all times. They can be Broncos here, and they're always welcome. And they know that when they walk out the door here as a transfer, as a graduate, or as a guy assigned pro, you're always a Bronco.
That's freaking, that lights me up, man. It's amazing because I've even seen, obviously at that level, like that's just so cool. And we all know coaches, and we all know stories of the trash bag and not allowed and, just put down. And it's like, unless you did something to earn that treatment, like, come on,
right.
It's just so unnecessary, so ridiculous. I also think it's completely ass backwards the wrong way, and that player's going to leave hating that school and telling all the players, and if he winds up a coach later in life, he's telling everybody, this was my experience at that school. It's just so short-sighted, and I hate it, and I think it's everything that's wrong with hockey. But I'm also seeing that happen and filter down into like AAA hockey. Oh, you left our AAA program? Well, no, you can never come back to one of our skates. Oh, you went out of town for your midget major year? Well, no, you're no longer an alumni here, and you don't get to come back, and you don't get to do these. And it's like, what? When we're talking about youth hockey, if that kid might have played AAA hockey the last 5 years and they spent $20,000 a year, they spent $100,000 in youth hockey with your program, and then because they wanted to try something new, you're going to shut the door on them and pretend they didn't exist and give you all that money and help you win and all of these things. And again, barring some kind of crazy negative circumstance, like, let's grow up, people, and let's be about the players and be about the kids. No matter if we're talking college Division I or we're talking about 10-year-old, 13-year-old AAA players, like, be better. And, again, culture is everything, and it's not an accident why Coach got the boys to win.
Well, honestly, well said. And the reason I'm free and love to talk about this subject is partly because of that. If we can do it at the Division I level, let's start recognizing we're the adults in the room. These are kids. Maybe do we always agree with their decisions? Nope. But you know what? It's their decision. And let's create a great enough culture. They never want to leave. And if they aren't able to get playing time, then let's help them find a different great culture where they can be a part of and be successful on the ice that way. Anyway, it's just what we do here at Western Michigan. I hope every program adopts this because I would love to not hear the horror stories of youth hockey, of Division I, all those things. Let's correct it from the top down. That's what I'm trying to do, is lead from the top down.
Absolutely love it. I put that out on Twitter because we had a situation here in St. Louis last year where we had a kind of a mass exodus from 2 age groups. And I called it out, and it was my former organization. And it wasn't calling it out like you guys are idiots who run the organization. It was we need to look inward. Because whatever we're offering, I'm not part of it anymore, really. Whatever you're offering is not keeping people here. So let's look inward in the mirror, not be mad at the children and the parents who maybe don't know better or do whatever. They're making these decisions as a family. Let's not be mad at them. Let's look in the mirror and go, well, what could we have done to offer something that these people are wanting to be a part of this and feel like they're getting value and their kid is getting better and this is the best place for them, because we have everything here in St. Louis. And some people took that way, some people didn't, but I just think the whole hockey world can kind of take a serious page out of Coach's book here, because it obviously worked at a school that didn't spend any money on the players and treats their players the right way, and they won it all. Weird.
Weird.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
First, I want to go back to one of the things that you talked about, and that was like you really set the standard high early as a coach and coach them hard early, and then kind of pass it off to the players, and they're the ones that are the main accountability driver, and that's the big part of why you guys won. I was looking at some of the interviews of some of your players after you won, and one of the things that one of your players said was he knows how to push our limits and how to build confidence inside of us. And I think that is a really difficult thing in coaching, is knowing how hard to push before you're pushing too hard. And I've always kind of like been a believer that like push hard. At some point you're going to push harder than you need to, or you're supposed to, and then you go back and apologize, but then where that person's upper limit is going to be and how hard you need to push them. But when you talk about he knows how to push our limits, how do you figure that out with a kid? How do you understand how hard you can push a kid? Maybe even not even a kid too, but how hard you can push your team where they're not going to revolt or they're not going to pout or sulk. I mean, some of that probably has to do with recruiting the right kids, but what's your philosophy in that? Like, hey, we're going to find out how hard we can push these guys and we're going to get as close as we can to there as possible. I'm just really fascinated to hear your answer there.
Well, there's several factors there, and it's a great question. One, get to know them as people, care about them. That's how I can know. That's when you start to learn their emotional and physical limits. And when you talk about pushing, I think there's immediately think that coaches are yelling at them or anything like that. That's not how we're pushed. I'm getting them each day to recognize they have more than they may realize. So I can say, you've got more. You're faster than that. Make sure that battle's a battle you can win. Go win it next time. And then after they win it, I can look at them and go, yep, that's what we're talking about. Don't ever forget that feeling. Repeat it. And so I'm trying to give them a path to success, celebrate the win, so they have the emotional ability to then repeat that success and the knowledge of how to do it. We all want our players to work. And I hear coaches talk about it all the time. Work harder, work harder. I'm not sure every kid exactly knows what that means all the times. Right. And so the importance of how am I supposed to work is just as important as saying, I don't just yell work. Right. Here is what matters in this drill. Win the shoulder battle. Have a great stick. The attention to detail and the full commitment to the details is the work. It's not just skating fast. That's kind of built into it. But the emotional investment, we talked about the ability to pay attention to all the details and not just do it, but do it right. And we call it deliberate practice. Deliberate practice I can define like this. A lot of us play golf, right? A lot of hockey players play golf. You go to the range and hit a bucket of balls. Or you put a alignment stick down, make sure your grip's correct. You got a target every time, and you hit every ball as well as you can. They're not perfect, but they're as good as you can. Now you've left better. So our players, I believe, have decided through our coaching, through our leadership, to practice with a deliberate intention to improve. That's different than attending practice to me. Deliberate practice. I'm here to get better. I'm not here to attend. That's what I mean by pushing them. I'm not out there screaming a lot. I don't really believe in that. I don't think kids are motivated by that anymore. I think they're more turned off than motivated. They want to know how to succeed, not how not to fail. And I think that's what yelling does lots. Don't do that. Don't do that. No. Do this. Here's how you'll succeed. Give them the path to success. And trust me, at some point, they'll run down it. They won't walk down it. They'll run down it because they can't wait to be successful, but they're dying to know how. So let's help them be successful.
Coach, you're lighting me up, man. I knew we were best friends doing karate in the garage years ago when we started talking, man. Like, what I call that exactly what we're talking about. I always say to guys, and this is in the gym, this is in practice, this is with eating, this is watching your video, this is literally everything. You want to get better at anything. It's not what you're doing, it's how you're doing it that will separate you, especially when we're talking about higher levels of sports, business, whatever it is. Everybody, for the most part, is doing very similar similar drills, saying you need to focus on squeezing the guy when you're forechecking him, don't give him options. But how you do the what is what will determine how successful you are, how much you win, how far you go, like all of those things. Young players, young coaches, I hope you guys hear this. And for me, Coach, I absolutely love visual metaphors that I can tell people. And the golf, what is that called? When you go to Topgolf, what is that?
Analogy?
Yeah, the analogy, but when you go to the driving range, I'm not a golfer. You talk to my neighbor, the accountant, huge ass. I'm like the only guy because I was just in the gym all day. But the analogy of lay the stick down, think about where you're hitting it. Like, did you grip it right? Did you breathe? Did you set up? Or did you just grip it and rip it like an idiot? Well, which one of those is going to make you better? That's such a simple analogy. And coaches, if you can get that type of analogy through to your players when they practice, and it's something that when they're younger, you got to be on them talking about that type of thing all the time. And this will separate you 100%. It's literally how I changed my career, just getting a little bit more out of every drill than other guys. And as I got to pro and I watched the best guys practicing, they would always add a little tiny wrinkle into almost every drill that they could, whether that was a pass off the wall to themselves, a quick shoulder check when nobody else was doing it, whatever it was, they were always trying to get a little bit more out of the drill. And there's no secret why those guys made the most money, played the longest, had the best careers. This is unbelievable advice from a national champion.
Woohoo! First, I want to ask you, because I get this question asked to me all the time from people, especially in youth hockey, but college hockey right now, it's amazing how fast it's changing in such a short amount of time. And you talk about the NIL money, you talk about the transfer portal, you talk about, major junior now being open to play college hockey. These are three in and of itself, just if they were one thing, would change the entire face of college hockey. And all three are happening within, a couple year period right here. How are you guys navigating all of these changes? How are you thinking differently? Like, every school has their ways of doing things, and every school has different philosophies, priorities, all that kind of stuff. But how have you and how has your staff navigated all of this craziness that's going on kind of all at the same time?
Well, one, what we try to do is make sure that we're ourselves. And I think it starts there. And
Love that.
we're not a slogan-based program. You come to our rink, there's not something, all over the ice. This year we believe in this, and slogans on the back of T-shirts. None of that exists in Bronco hockey. We're principle based. So when you hear me talk, and you hear me talk year to year, or my first talk of the year to the players repeats itself almost year after year. You know why? Because that's who we are, or that's who we're trying to be. And so when we recruit, we got to remember who and what we're recruiting to, right? And that's our principles. And so there are changes, and it's fluid, and sometimes they change before you've honestly even adjusted. But, we've got to be open to it, not fight it, understand this is the world we're in. What's success look like in this world of NIL? We're not going to outspend people, but can we make our college athletes' life a little easier? We can do that. Okay. Now we're doing that. Okay. How do we recruit major junior and the USHL and midget? Do you have enough bodies? Do you have enough time? Well, we have friends. Trust the people out in the hockey world, right? So you have to use your phone a little more. You got to use visual scouting, as with Instat and everything else. We can watch almost every hockey player play most of his games right from here in Kalamazoo, and we can get a good base on who we're supposed to watch there. And so trust that way, but really trust who you are and recruit to your identity. Our identity is fast, competitive, and relentless. And if we stick with those, we're going to have guys that can be successful Broncos, and we'll have a successful program in the end.
I love that. I love the term relentless. I love that. And that's exactly how you guys played in the Frozen Four. Like relentless. It was unbelievable. And I was so impressed, quick sidebar, with the amount of times it looked like the other team was getting a shot off. And because you guys kept coming back and kept having the stick pressure, that they would get their stick on a puck and tip it wide over the netting, whatever. Like, it must have been 25 times in those two games. And I kept saying, like, holy crap, like, they never give up on a puck. Like, they are relentless. And the amount of block shots and sticks right getting in there, right, deflecting, it was wild. It was so cool.
And those plays are celebrated all year long. Vex, right from the start. So I just call those winning hockey plays. And as we pre-scout or we do video the next day, we always end with winning hockey plays. Maybe it's a block, like you said. Maybe it's a guy beat out an icing that then sealed the game. Maybe it is a great track. Whatever those effort-based plays are that take I mean, you have to have the talent to be on the ice, but you can say don't take talent. They take effort and awareness and engagement, all those things that help you win. Because we also talk what play is the game. There's the play that's going to win the game. We don't know.
Nobody knows.
We don't know.
The next one.
So it could be. So
Yeah.
if every play matters, and if you can make every play matter more to you than the guy across from you, you'll come out on the good side most nights. And I believe that's what our guys did most of this year.
Yeah, they did. I didn't get to watch too many games, but certainly in the tournament, watching you guys play that relentless attitude, I mean, that came out, that jumped out of the screen. Absolutely jumped out of the screen. It was really cool. I got one more question for you here, Fersch, and it kind of relates to a little bit of recruiting, but just philosophy as well. You look at a guy like Owen Michaels, who kind of had a coming out party in the NCAA tournament, and you go back and you look at his elite prospects and his journey to get to where he is today. He played tier 1 for the Oakland Grizzlies. Then he goes to the USHL. Then he goes back to the North American League. And then he goes back to the USHL, comes in as a freshman, only has 7 points in his first year, and then scores 18 goals and 36 points in his next year. And he's the MVP of the Frozen Four. And I'm just wondering, like, from a recruiting, like, what was it about Owen Michaels that you guys saw, maybe that somebody else didn't see? Or what is it about his character? Because he's not the only one in your program. That's like, you got a lot of guys in your program that are like that went through some ups and downs through their, youth hockey, junior hockey careers, as most people do. And, maybe didn't find themselves that. Typically people find themselves a little bit later than they want to. Yeah. And so, like, can you just talk a little bit maybe about Owen Michaels and some of the other guys in your team and what your philosophy is and maybe what you're looking for in players, some of those intangible things. And then again, it probably goes back to the belief part too, that you have for them and they can really bring out the best version of themselves when they get to Western.
Well, certainly that belief part is a big piece of it. But at the end of the day, when those guys come in, and Owen Michaels is a perfect case study in Broncos success. He's a kid with tremendous inner drive and tremendous compete. And so if you start with that and have any physical skills as far as the hockey side goes, you've given yourself a chance of success, because he'll continue to pass people with that inner drive. Inner drive, what I mean by that's you're not made to work. You like to work. You're not made to do something. You want to because it can make you better. That's inner drive in my mind. And Owen Michaels comes in because he loves hockey. And you guys will say, well, everybody loves hockey. They don't. Nope. Some play because they're good at it. Some like hockey. We're trying to fill that room with guys who love hockey. Owen Michaels' case study in it. So, yeah, he had up and down in junior. And at one point he was committed to UMass. And UMass pulls the commitment. And now he's just out there, right? I was first in line. I recognized right away. Is he the highest scoring guy in the league? No. Is he an absolute warrior, winner, great human? Oh, yeah. This is an easy one to be a Bronco, right? And so we get him in here, and you mentioned he had 7 points his first year, but his quality of play was way higher than his production that year. He won draws. He battled. He killed penalties. He did a lot of little things really correct. And there was chances in there that didn't go in, but he never got frustration. Never got frustrated. I mean, frustration to me, and we talk about it daily, is weakness. Never show frustration. That's a form of bitching. Bitching's not allowed in our program. Bitching equals losing. Always has, always will. Bad body language, frustration, slamming your stick, swearing after unsuccessful event. Not allowed, man. Dig in. Don't show weakness to the other team, and certainly don't show it to your teammates. And more importantly, don't show it to yourself. You miss a play, you don't make it, dig in. Make it better next time. You can affect it next time, right? And that's our coaching philosophy. That's our playing philosophy here. If it doesn't go right, make it better next time. Get out there, dig in, and change it. You can change it. Bitching doesn't change it. Bad body language doesn't change it. Swearing doesn't change it. You change it. And Owen Michaels, again, is a case study in that. He turned down NHL contracts at the end of this year. He'll come back. He'll be a leader on this team next year, and I'm sure he'll sign and be in the National Hockey League after that. But from a guy who had 2 goals and 5 assists his first season, to never be deterred, never be frustrated, and always keep working with the same vigor every day, same engagement every day to get better. And now he's having some success. Here's what I know. He's going to come back better next year. He's not going to go, oh, well, I had a contract this year. He'll be 10 pounds heavier at the start of next season, and look out, because he'll, he's going to outcompete you every chance he can. And those are the guys that win, they succeed, and they keep passing people on their way up. The journey is longer for some. There's only a few people that are put on this earth, touched by God, to play hockey. If you're not taking the first round of the NHL draft or second round of the NHL draft, then you're over here with us human beings, right? We got to dig. Not that those guys don't work. They certainly do. But they're blessed with a little more ability at the start. So then to match it, play with them, be on a team with them, or to be in a league with them, then we need to do extra, right? And we need to love the process of doing extra. And that's the key, is lean into it. I don't make people do anything. We show them what success looks like, and then we want them to choose and love doing it, right? And you get that mentality, your potential is unlimited.
365 more days till next year's hockey tryouts. I got to toughen up, coach. Let's go, baby.
Hey, Vex, I do have to say that Owen Michaels guy sounds a little bit like somebody I know that went to Western that might have had a contract after his sophomore year, came back for another year. Things worked out okay for him. Now he's
like Vex likes to say, weird,
except he's a lot more skill going on in his body, which I'm very happy for. But I just started following him on Instagram, obviously after the national championship, and I'm going to send him a message here and just give him some words of wisdom from a guy who's been in a very similar situation. But for me, like, that's that whole thing, like, those are the guys that I love wearing that Bronco jersey. Like, those are the guys. Obviously, it's so fun playing with guys who are just so unbelievably talented, but I love the guys who got shit on a little bit, who had to go through the mud, who had to overcome. I think that down the road, those guys have a little bit more in the tank, things that they want to prove no matter what. So I'm going to be rooting for the kid. I freaking love it.
We would be remiss not to mention Tim Washy, who had 2 goals the year before, came back as our captain, undisputed leader, and worked. And Tim was a supreme competitor, but almost too strong for college hockey in a way. 6'3", 215, chisel, piece of granite. He had taken 3 or 4 majors the year before through. He's, like I said, he's almost too strong. But I talked to him at the end of the year and said, you need to refocus this into your offensive play, into working for your offense, into really rechanneling this into leadership and not taking penalties if you're going to be our leader. And you guys might not know this. As competitive team as there was in college hockey, I believe we were this year, we're also the least penalized team in college hockey. We were massive. We played real hard, but super disciplined. And I think that's Tim Washy was a leader in that. But he goes from 2 goals one year to 2 games at the Anaheim Ducks the next year after the season. So a case study in improvement, self-development, and, really sticking to the plan of working for your success. Pretty cool.
That is so cool. I think that's something that any kid that's listening can take with them on their journey. And like you said, there are first and second rounders, but there's also a lot of people who achieved some great things in this game that weren't. And 99% of us are those people who had to, go through the ups and downs and figure it out and fight the adversity and be told no and get cut and needed to have somebody to believe in them and have some things go lucky their way. This journey to get there is often filled with a lot of things that you can't control. And it's really cool for young kids to hear specifically. And you could probably write a book on the guys on your team this year too, with that. Just how important that can be. And just on the coaching side too, just how incredible. So my notebook's filled here, Vex. I don't know about you, but I got
some good ones here, man. I got some.
You got a few things that are probably either getting tattooed on you, or you got a few things that might go up on your wall in your gym too.
Yeah, buddy. Well, I don't want to be one of those slogan guys like Coach said, so I got to be careful here. Right? We got to be built, founded, in principle, like he said.
Like the slogans are the ones that change every year.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean? Now I I got a new shirt every year with a different slogan on the back. Which one matters this year? You know, that's what I don't understand. If there's something that you believe is a pillar, you can put it on the wall, but you're not changing it. You know, the paint's going to get, off white around it. You know what I mean? It's there to stay because I believe in it. And I think it's a principle.
That makes 100. Love that. Absolutely love that. Speaking of pillars on the wall and walls and pillars.
Walls?
We got new walls. We got new pillars going up in Western Michigan. We got a brand new state-of-the-art. I've been bragging since last year when you showed me the plans, telling the world who will listen, telling every kid that I train, you better be trying to go to Western Michigan. And this is before we won the national championship. But can we hear a little bit, anything you could talk about the new rink? I kind of want this to read selfishly as, it's just a commercial for Bronco hockey for any of you out there who are looking for a D1 school to play at. Coach, what's this new rink about?
Well, it's a dream scenario. It really is. We had a guy here in town who has the means, thank goodness, and he just said he wanted to invest in the program. And so came to me, this is a couple years ago now, and just said, Fersch, I want you to think of this as a 100-year opportunity. I want you to think big. And I said, hey, I'm your guy, right? I'm your guy. Because I still think like a player. What would I want as a player? And I was just fresh out of the National Hockey League a few years ago. So I've seen the best of the best all around the country. But first thing he did is put us on his two jets, us and the architects, two basketball teams have moved down there as well, but they'll have their own area. And he flew us around to all the best arenas in the country. And every time we walked into the arena, see all the best things. And as we walked out, we get back onto our sweet limo bus that we always had. And he would look around and say, that was nice. Ours would be better. Remember, we're here to get ideas. We're not here to copy. We're here to improve. Ours will be better. And when you get that kind of instruction, incredible. And then so through this process of 2 years and the thinking big thought in my head at all times, we need this, we need this. They haven't said no to me in 2 years. Not one time. Cryotherapy, train at altitude, world-class performance center, incredible. Recovery space, got to have it. You guys hearing Coach? That's what he would tell the architects. We got to have it. So to me, what I've done is I thought like a player, what would I want? If you're not strong enough, here it is. If you need to gain weight, we've got a performance chef up here in a world-class kitchen. If and so, oh yeah. Breakfast, lunch, every day, performance chef.
Oh my God.
You're
gonna get tight, Coach. You're gonna have a 6-pack with the boys.
Oh, back in playing days, you know what I mean? New wardrobe coming, new wardrobe. But I'm still not taking my shirt off around you at the beach anytime soon. But it is what it is. But it's practice facility, so to make sure the guys have ice at all times like they do now. Everything we could possibly want. So I believe we have a developmental model that is as good as any in college hockey, some of which I brought back from the NHL, some of which I've developed through all my years of youth hockey, of hockey schools, of developing things that I believe are unique to us. But now we'll also have everything this players could ever want, need, or dream of, all under one roof in a state-of-the-art facility. Here's one thing I can promise you. We are going to have all the bells and whistles, but we will never lose the blue-collar work ethic that this program was built on and that won the national championship for us this year. That's a foundational principle for us. That we will keep.
Hell yes. Hell yes.
Bex
I
is so
cannot
pumped
wait
right
to
now.
visit.
Yeah.
Is there like bunk beds in the gym or somewhere I could just hide? Or?
I mean, we'll make a little something for you. We got a lot of room in here. We got a lot of room. So it's 4 square city blocks, by the way. I left that part out.
Ooh.
4 square city blocks. This block, the arena. This block, performance center, our area. This block is the practice facility. This block's the convention center for the community. So world class. Again, everything you can think of. And just an opportunity to build something with your imagination and not a budget is incredible. And I say that because it's gone from 300 to 515 and Does it go up in 2 years when it's done? Maybe. But this, again, everyone listen, this is not a dream. This isn't on paper. I drive by this site every time I can. I just drove by 2 days ago. There's cement in the ground. There's rebar coming out. This project is in the works, and we will release it to the community and the world, college hockey world, as soon as we can. It was supposed to be June 5th. I think we're pushing it back just a hair to make sure everything's correct. So you can have a virtual walkthrough that looks great. You're going to see me out there with a gold shovel and a goofy hat, put a grin on my face from here to here, because I know what's coming and I know what it's going to look like at the end. And it is going to be as good as there is in college hockey, and player amenity wise, as good as there is at any level, anywhere in the world.
Man,
Sick.
So happy to be a Bronco. Oh yeah, there we go. Play that song, Steph.
Let's hear it, Vex. You gonna sing?
Bumblebee. The acoustics are off in here.
Bumblebee.
Black and yellow.
Well, Fersch, this was awesome. Thank you so much for your time. If you have a couple more minutes for us, we're going to do a little 10 questions with you that'll be housed in our Hockey Think Tank community. If you're not in the Hockey Think Tank community, go to community.thehockeythinktank.com. It's a phenomenal place. A lot of just exclusive content from the podcast, and Vex and I and a lot of other passionate hockey people from around the world that are in there. So all of our 10 questions every week are there. But Coach Fersch, this was awesome. Congratulations again. I know there's a lot of very, very proud Broncos out there. And one of the coolest parts about being a Bronco, there's how many freaking coaches in college hockey were Western Michigan Bronco players too. There's a lot, something in the water there. So, but yeah, congrats on everything, and we appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was awesome.
Woo. The NBA 82-game grind is done, and now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for all the high-stakes drama, clutch moments, and draw-dropping plays. I can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will they drop 30 points, 40, maybe even more? It's your call. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only, and bonus bets expire 168 hours issuance issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.